Welcome to DRS Zone, your high-octane shortcut to understanding what might just be the most chaotic, high-stakes race weekend on the entire F1 calendar. We are launching this deep dive straight into the sources for the F1 MSC Cruises Grande Premio to São Paulo 2025. Bit of a mouthful, that one.
Yeah, everyone just calls it the Brazilian Grand Prix, right? Interlagos. It's legendary.
Exactly, Interlagos. And, our sources keep calling it one of the two lungs of Formula One.
That's right, along with Silverstone. They argue it keeps the sport vibrant, keeps that connection to history alive. And if you want tension, well, this is the place. 4,309 meters of pure drama.
Yeah, the track that decides titles.
Yeah.
So, our mission today, cut through the noise, pull out the key stuff you need for this sprint weekend. Because, let's be honest, it's almost guaranteed to deliver something wild.
It usually does. I mean, think about it. 6 world championships have been clinched right here.
Including Alonso. Those back-to-back titles, 2005, 2006. Iconic moments.
Definitely. And the stats here, they tell a fascinating story. Look at pole positions. Senna, Hakkinen, Massa, Pariscello, Hamilton. All tied on 3 poles each. Just incredible parity.
Wow, that's amazing. Shows how tough it is to dominate here consistently.
Exactly. Though Michael Schumacher, he did manage the most wins for victories. He found some consistency.
That parity, though, it speaks volumes about the challenge, doesn't it? And speaking of challenge, the sources we looked at are pretty unanimous on this.
Let me guess the sprint format.
You got it?
Yeah.
They're basically saying this track, Interlagos, it needs the sprint format every single year. The layout just breeds action, qualifying, or race.
It's proper old school, isn't it? The corners aren't just numbers, they're landmarks with history. You start with the S du Senna.
Curves 1 and 2. It's all about positioning, right? Setting yourself up for what comes next.
Precisely. Because next is decided to Lago Curve 4. That's your big overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, you fly in there, around 150 km/h, trying to keep it hooked up.
And then you blast out at 200 km/h, heading into that twisty middle sector. It's a real commitment.
And that middle sector demands precision. You've got Bico de Pato, Curve 10, Duck Peak.
Yeah, the name kind of says it all. Tight, slow. It really pinches in there. It's the slowest part of the whole circuit.
Minimum speed like 80, 90 km crawling compared to the rest.
Pretty much. But then you get to the bit that really defines the lap, I think. Exiting Jinsound, Curve 12.
Yes, the run uphill, Subida de Boxes.
Yeah.
You're just flat out climbing.
Climbing towards the main straight, yeah. It's a huge engine test, and crucially, it leads right into the DRS detection zone just before the line.
Which brings us neatly to the technical side of things. Because Interlagos throws some unique curveballs at the teams, doesn't it? The Pirelli data looks interesting.
It really does, and a lot of it comes down to one big factor, altitude. We're over 600 meters above sea level here.
Okay, 600 meters. So what does that actually do to the cars?
Well, simply put, the air's thinner, significantly thinner, and that immediately makes the wings less effective.
Less downforce from the same wing settings.
Exactly. So teams have to compensate. They run really high levels of downforce. Pirelli rates the aero need as 4 out of 5. But, and here's the catch.
There's always a catch.
Right. Because the thin air offers lag resistance, the cars are actually more slippery on the straights than they would be at sea level with those big wings.
Okay, hang on. So they need massive wings for the corners, but the thin air kind of negates some of that wing effectiveness and makes them faster on the straights anyway.
Not quite faster overall on the straights because of the wings, but the penalty for running big wings is less severe than it would be at sea level. The thin air reduces drag generally, but the need for high downforce in the corners is still paramount because the wings are less effective generating that downforce in thin air. It's a huge balancing act.
So it's a compromise.
Yeah.
High wing for corners, knowing the thin air helps a bit on the straights, but also hurts the wing's peak performance.
You've got it. It's why you see teams running wing levels similar to Monaco sometimes, but on a much, much faster track. And it puts enormous pressure on getting a good exit out of Jinsound.
Because you need all the traction you can get to power up that long hill against the drag.
Absolutely. Maximize that run towards the DRS zone. Any hesitation, any wheel spin, and you're losing huge chunks of time.
And this low grip, high altitude thing must be tough on the tires too.
Oh, definitely. The track evolution is rated 5 out of 5 maximum. The asphalt gets dirty easily offline, so grip is generally quite low, rated 3 out of 5. It cleans up fast, but start offline, and it's tricky.
Right, and Pirelli's response.
They've gone one step harder with the compounds this year, C2, C3, C4, trying to manage potential overheating and wear with that high evolution and lower grip.
So going harder, and the Pirelli playing it safe. Worried about degradation.
It feels like a slightly defensive move, yeah. It pushes the theoretical dry strategy towards a two-stop, probably soft, medium soft.
Theoretical dry strategy?
Yeah, exactly, because in Sao Paulo, the dry reference strategy is often just, well, the first thing that gets thrown out the window when the chaos starts.
Ah, the chaos factor. Perfect transition. Let's talk weather, because this is where Interlagos gets really spicy.
Okay, so the early forecast, as of Tuesday,
Yeah.
looking interesting. Sprint session on Friday, about a 50% chance of rain. Could mix things up.
50% is decent odds for drama, but Saturday, qualifying.
Yeah, Saturday's the big one, potentially. Up to 80% chance of rain, specifically towards the end of the qualifying session.
80%. That's huge. That's prime territory for, well, for what happened with Magnussen in 2023, right? That shock pole position.
Exactly that kind of scenario. Rain here isn't just drizzle. It can properly soak the track, make it treacherous, and just completely randomize the grid order. Sunday, though, looks better, only about 10% chance forecast right now.
Shoo, okay. But Saturday could be mayhem. We only need to rewind 12 months to see what Interlagos chaos looks like. Max Verstappen.
Oh, that 2024 race. Unbelievable remontada, wasn't it? Started 17th after penalties. 17th. And you won it. How?
Just masterful driving in those mixed conditions, first off. But the key was strategy. That long VSC period that turned into a red flag, he judged it perfectly. Pitted for fresh tires while others were maybe hesitant.
Capitalized on the chaos, while others didn't. Lando Norris started on pole.
Yeah, poor Lando. He kind of erased himself, as one source put it. Ran straight on at turn 1 right after that final restart. Just shows you the line between hero and zero is incredibly fine here.
It really is. But the chaos doesn't just benefit the stars, does it? Sometimes it throws up surprises further down, like Alpine last year.
That was amazing. Ocon and Gasly, supposedly mortal enemies at the time, somehow navigating the madness to get a double podium.
Incredible result for them. Huge for morale, I bet, but also financially, right?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
Millions of euros in prize money, kind of massive. It just underlines how a single, unpredictable weekend like this can literally change a team's financial outlook and stability. Huge implications. Right, massive stakes. And hey, if you're watching this deep dive on YouTube, welcome to DRS Zone. Really appreciate you joining us. Make sure you hit that like button and definitely subscribe for more F1 analysis like this every single race week. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From the chaos in history to the cold, hard numbers. Because this championship fight, it's getting seriously tight now.
That really is. Max is he's 35 points behind Lando, 36 behind Piastri. That's, well, it's a gap.
A significant gap. And with only, 33 points available this weekend, Max needs a big score, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. 14 points for the sprint, 19 for the main race. He has to take a huge bite out of that McLaren lead this weekend to keep his own title hopes realistically burning bright. Needs his own remontada.
So what are the computers saying? The prediction models. Where's the performance balance right now?
It's fascinatingly close at the top. The latest models have McLaren and Red Bull basically neck and neck, both averaging around 3.75. McLaren might have the tiniest theoretical edge, but functionally they're starting equal.
Equal? Wow. And behind them?
Ferrari and Mercedes are clustered together as the clear third force. About a quarter of a point back from the top two, performance-wise. Still close enough to capitalize on any mistakes, though.
Interesting. We've seen Red Bull bringing late-season updates. Seems a bit weird with the budget cap and focus shifting to next year. No. What's the thinking there?
Yeah, sources say it's all about 2026. They're consciously taking the budget cap hit, accepting later delivery times for these parts, specifically to validate their processes for the massive regulation change coming in 26.
Processes, not just parts.
Exactly. It's about stress testing their design pipeline, their manufacturing, their simulation correlation under real race weekend pressure. They might be testing, say, new hydraulic systems or suspension ideas or materials they plan to use in 26.
Ah, okay. So gathering data now, even on the current car, helps refine the tools and methods they'll rely on entirely for the 2026 design.
Precisely. They see it as a net gain for the long term, even if it costs them a bit now. It's process validation as much as component validation.
That makes sense. Big picture thinking. But shifting back to this year, that fight for P2 in the constructors, it's unbelievable.
It is. Ferrari on 356 points, Mercedes on 355. One single point.
Just insane. Toto Wolff basically said every single session counts now, right?
Yep. His quote was something like, every one of the 4 events will be vital. And it's not just prestige, is it? P2 versus P3 is serious money. Money for next year's development.
Huge financial implications. And speaking of money, there's another intense battle further down. the fight for sixth.
Ah, yes, the 30 million euro club, as some sources are calling it. That scrap between currently Racing Bulls in P6 down to Sauber in P9.
And only 19 points separating those four teams, Racing Bulls, Haas, Alpine, Sauber. Why is that particular P6 to P9 bracket so critical financially?
The way F1 distributes the prize money, it's heavily tiered. The drop-off in payout between finishing, say, 6th and finishing 9th is disproportionately large. The estimate floating around is roughly 30 million euros difference.
30 million, wow. For those smaller teams, that's a game changer.
Absolutely. That kind of cash injection can fund major R&D projects, upgrade facilities, allow them to hire key staff. It's genuinely make or break money for their future competitiveness.
So expect maximum attack from those midfield teams. Every point is worth millions.
Oh, definitely. Aggressive strategies, maybe some risky moves.
Well,
They'll be absolutely desperate.
okay, let's zoom in on some individual stories heading into Brazil. And you have to start with Fernando Alonso, don't you?
You really do. This weekend marks 20 years since he won his first world championship right here at Interlagos back in 2005.
20 years. And then he backed it up in 2006 here, too. That history must resonate within Aston Martin.
For sure. And it kind of ties into their future focus, too. They're making some big moves, signaling their ambition. The hiring of Marco Finello, that's significant.
Finello, wasn't he at Ferrari during the Schumacher glory years? Vehicle dynamics?
That's the one. He basically pioneered Ferrari's first proper simulator back then.
Yeah.
And bringing him in now, along with that ex-Red Bull and Apple simulation expert they hired earlier.
It screams simulation and AI, doesn't it? Gearing up for 2026.
Totally. They're investing heavily in virtual modeling, trying to get ahead of the curve for the new regulations, betting big that the team who masters simulation and AI first will win the 2026 game.
Future-proofing, like you said about Red Bull. Interesting. Now, on the driver's side, Oliver Behrman and his super license. Bit of a close shave recently.
Yeah, he just had 2 penalty points expire. Points he actually picked up here in Brazil last year in F2 for a tangle with Colapinto.
Right. So where does that leave him now?
He's now on 8 points total. Still a bit tight, doesn't leave much wiggle room. It just highlights how much pressure these young guys are under, even in testing. Every incident counts.
And speaking of Franco Colapinto, he's racing on home turf, effectively. Big support expected. And there's talk of his Alpine renewal being announced soon.
Yeah, the expectation is we'll hear something concrete probably before the Brazil weekend. And he deserves it, frankly. His improvement since the summer break has been really noticeable.
He's matching Gasly more often now, isn't he?
Yep. Head-to-head in race finishes since the break, it's apparently 3-3. He's really stepped up, showing he belongs, even with all the pressure surrounding Alpine.
Good for him. Okay, final bit of intrigue. The rumor mill, especially from Italy, around Ferrari and Mercedes. What's cooking there?
Well, the big one is talk about Ferrari already, considering Lewis Hamilton's future beyond his current contract, which runs to the end of 2027.
Already? Wow. And who are they supposedly eyeing up?
The name mentioned as a potential long-term replacement, perhaps after 2027, is George Russell.
Russell to Ferrari. That's massive speculation, but interesting. They're thinking that far ahead.
It shows the long game teams are playing, but technically there's another Ferrari rumor doing the rounds for 2026. Something about their suspension?
Oh yeah, what's the story?
Whispers suggest their 2026 car might feature a pushrod rear suspension.
Pushrod. Okay. Sounds technical. Why is that a big deal? Isn't pull rod more common at the rear now?
Exactly. Most teams, including Ferrari recently, use pull rod at the rear. It generally allows for a lower center of gravity, better packaging around the gearbox. Ferrari haven't used pushrod rear since, the F10 back in 2010, I think.
So why potentially switch back now for 2026? What's the benefit?
It suggests a fundamental rethink about their gearbox design and, crucially, how they want to manage airflow underneath the car with the new 2026 ground effect rules. Maybe the traditional pull rod packaging hinders the optimal floor design they want.
So the higher pushrod layout might actually unlock more aerodynamic performance from the floor under the new regs.
That seems to be the thinking, yeah. It's a pretty radical departure, if true, and it just proves how the 2026 rules are already completely dominating engineering choices, even now.
Okay, so let's try and tie all these threads together. The picture for São Paulo seems clear. Pressure everywhere. From tire choices, engine strategies, those huge financial battles.
Everything feels like it's pushing teams right to the edge.
Yeah, and the championship is still wide open, really. Plus, that weather forecast just adds another layer of pure unpredictability. Chaos seems almost inevitable.
The struggle for every point, every position is going to be immense this weekend. Pure survival and strategy.
There's one last thing, a final thought from the source material we should leave you with. It's about the F1 broadcast itself.
Ah, yes, the comments from the broadcast director, Dean Locke.
Right. He basically admitted that sometimes TV cameras will deliberately focus less on incredible on-track action, like, say, Alonso pulling off an amazing move.
In favor of what they deem more interesting stories, which often means cutting to VIPs in the paddock, celebrities, corporate partner logos, that kind of thing.
That classic tension, isn't it? Sport versus spectacle, the raw competition versus the curated narrative.
The purity of the fight versus the demands of entertainment broadcasting.
So here's the question for you as you settle in to watch this weekend. When those lights go out in São Paulo, what actually matters most to you? Is it the raw, unpredictable on-track action, the struggle for victory that defines Formula One? Or is it the story the cameras choose to tell you, the narrative they construct? Something to think about, maybe notice as the race unfolds.
Yeah, a really interesting point to consider. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive into everything Interlagos. Thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely. Loads to look forward to. Don't forget to subscribe and follow DR Zone, and we'll be back with more in-depth analysis next race week.